just want to look at how we look at stat GPS data here in PPA. So this is how we look at it in Cistercian College Roscrea, one of the teams I'm working with. So this is this is from this week. So it was a Tuesday training session. We look at HMLD, which is the distance covered in the top two zones, or the distance covered in sprinting, accelerating, decelerating, explosive distance, and sprinting distance. So the hard working meters. And then all we do is we divide the players' data by actual game data, and we get a figure of how heavy the session was versus game data. Okay, so we had no games this week, so we pushed the board out quite a bit this week to push the players. And then how many efforts he had. So an effort is it counts the number of sprints, accelerations, decelerations. Once again, the hard working part of training, and then it's just efforts by minute, so the intensity of the work rate. And then all we do is we just get an average. So on average, this was 105% and 112% training session load, and it was 124% intensity of the game. Um, then the next session, then going on through the week, was 119, 109, and 84. So that was a Wednesday. So even though this was quite a long session, it was a quite technical session. So the intensity of that session dropped quite a bit. And we go into our Friday session. Now Friday and Saturday are really intense, hard sessions. So even though the load wasn't hugely above our Tuesday session, the intensity had raised to 120%. So it was 20% higher intensity of the work rate. And then we finished the week with our Saturday training session where we upped the intensity to 166%, and the load was increased to 183% and 165%. Um, these are quite high because we're working. We only had the GPS units on once the year before, which was a friendly game just before we went into the Senior Cup, and we haven't played any proper games yet this year. So I would be expecting once we hit the league in the rugby that that the number that we're dividing against here will increase in size. So this number would actually be lower. But as of now, it's a nice little metric in terms of measuring load and intensity against each session. Um, and quickly we can just look at the actual weekly load. So the weekly load monitor. So on average, what was covered on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, what was covered per position. So front row, second row, half back, center, and back three. Um, in terms of total distance, HMLD, and efforts, and then that quickly gives a visualization of our actual week. And in here, then we have a quick player focus where I suppose we look at the individual, what he covered during the week, and the total of his week, and then the 6 zones I spoke about earlier. So this is kind of his walking zone, his jogging zone, and his sprinting zone. So we spoke about that Wednesday being actually a big distance. For the so just 5.8 for the backs and just 4 for the forwards, but there was what 69% covered in walking, 63% covered in the backs in terms of walking. So it was actually a quite low taxing session. So that's how we would look at the weekly load. And in terms then of we also go into individual drills as well, so we can quickly look back at what made that Saturday session so tough. So we can see there was conditioning blocks in transition touch, skills blocks, second conditioning block, and transition touch too. So that's a quick way of feeding back to the coaches the meters per minute. And then we have 3 zones. Everything below 50 meters per minute is amber, 50 to 70 is green, and everything above 70 then is in red. So game intensity in rugby is played somewhere between 50 and 65 meters per minute. So that's why green is match intensity. That's how we look at GPS data. Thank you very much.